Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going over Unit 1 of carbon in the Earth system. Okay, so first of all, identify the energy source for photosynthesis and how it's absorbed. So for photosynthesis, the energy source is sunlight. I think that's pretty obvious, and it's literally just absorbed through the leaves. That's literally it. Identify the locations within the plants, in plant cells where photosynthesis occurs. So it's in the leaf, inside the chloroplast, inside the chlorophyll. So like imagine it kind of like a magnifying glass. Hold on, wait, I have this. Like you start with like the leaf, that's a leaf, and then you move in closer, and you have like the chlorophyll, and then you move in even closer into the chlorophyll. This is like, imagine like it's bigger, and then like now you have a oh yeah, this is chloroplast. So you have the leaf, and then you have the chloroplast, and you move it even closer, you have the chlorophyll. So like that's kind of like how that works, and the photosynthesis occurs inside the chlorophyll. Okay. Explain which organisms perform photosynthesis and its purpose. Oh, I think by that it's asking like organisms as in like plants. But plants perform photosynthesis since that's how literally how they have to make their own food. They're producers, they make their own food because they don't have fucking mouths. They can't eat. So they have to rely on, photosynthesis to fuel themselves. So that's why they do photosynthesis. Literally it's like just how they eat, essentially. Identify the different reactants, inputs to photosynthesis. What are they and how many of each are needed? Where and how do they enter the plant? Okay, so imagine we have our little plant here. Oh shit, I can do better than that. So we have our little plant here, and then we have the sunlight. I'll do yellow. We have the sunlight coming down and shining sunshine into all of our lives, and then we have here the soil, and then we have like carbon in the atmosphere. This is carbon, guys. And then we have water in the soil. So the what the plant does is it takes in the sun's light for energy. That's its energy source. And then it takes in carbon dioxide through its leaves. And then it takes in water up through its roots. And did I say carbon? It takes in water. No, I said water. It takes in water up through its roots. And there's no really good way to remember all this, but it takes six waters and 6 carbons to do that. I don't know how you would remember that other than just remembering it takes that much. Yeah. But I guess one way you could kind of remember that it's 6 is just like in glucose, which is C6H12O6, the C has 6, the O has 6, and then the H has 12, which is like those two, like 6 plus 6, which is 12. So that's a way you can remember it. And also, if like it's vice versa, that's a way you could remember glucose. So yeah, okay. And then I already did that. Okay, identify the products, outputs of photosynthesis. Okay, so hold on 1 second. So we have the photosynthesis, blah blah blah, and it spits out, like I kind of mentioned before, C6H12O6, and this is the formula to glucose. So it produces glucose, and what glucose is, sorry, I'm like stuttering. Glucose is a simple sugar, and if you have Mr. Gray on one of the practice tests, there was a question on what does the plant burn first for like, not the plant, but just in general, like what is burned first. Simple sugars are always burned first, and this is because they're simple. When you create like a carbohydrate or I don't know, a lipid, what you're doing is you're taking the glucose and you're constructing a new a bigger molecule out of all that. So it's easier to just burn the simple glucose sugars, and because you don't have to break it all apart before you can burn it. So that's why those are always burned first. And if you had to ask me why they're broken up into like carbohydrates and all that, I would think we actually know why. At least for like proteins, it's the structure, and like DNA, it's the structure. It's not the structure, but it's like nucleotides. It's the DNA. I guess I put that in the wrong order, but these things are kind of made to create the plant, or what the plant is. Sorry, is what the plant is. So it's kind of like sorry, I'm blanking out. Like that's why they make those macromolecules, and I think it kind of said like. We actually have to remember this, and I put it on my cheat sheet, so I kind of don't, I didn't really study up on this, but, carbohydrates, I think they're literally made, carbohydrates are fibers and starches, so those are actually the plant structure itself, so that's why it makes those macromolecules, but it can also burn them, so they're kind of, like, versatile, they're used for many things, very cool, but, so this glucose is what a plant would burn first when it comes to, like, burning everything, but it also produces oxygen, and how many oxygen you're asking? 6 oxygens, which is very cool. Yes. So those go back into whatever. However, we're not done with that. I guess there's only one glucose that's made for every photosynthesis process with, for every 6 waters and 6 carbons, you're only getting 1 glucose and 6 oxygen. So, what happens to them? Where do they go after they're made? So, as I was saying before, oxygen either goes back into the atmosphere, the plant releases it out, or they power aerobic respiration, because this is ironically, and not ironically, but this is, I guess coincidentally, but probably not, it's probably like that on purpose, these are the reactants that you need for aerobic cellular respiration. So, yeah, it's really cool. Analyze a diagram of model photosynthesis. Yeah, okay, evaluate a model. I don't have a model. Oh wait, actually there's one in this, like, thing. Right, hold on. I'll find one, I swear. I guess this is one right here. This is like photosynthesis. It's absorbing CO2 through the stomata. What the fuck, through stomata into leaves? Okay, I don't actually get what the fuck that's saying, but I'm sorry, I'm not that smart. But then it's absorbing water through the fucking roots. Sorry guys, and that's like what it is. I guess this is also a pretty good diagram right here. This is pretty good. It's showing like photosynthesis, and then those are the same outputs that are the inputs to aerobic cellulation. And it's funny because that just leaves you with the reactants to photosynthesis. So it's almost like a loop. Very interesting. But yeah, that's like a diagram. And then we have explain what each of the 4 categories of macromolecules is used for. Okay, so going back to what I was kind of going on earlier, glucose can turn, not exactly glucose, but it can sort of like become 4 things. It can be 5 things actually. It can become I wish I could like actually write this out, but it could become a carbohydrate. It could become a lipid, a fat or oil. It could become a I'm gonna need some space. Phospholipid. It could become a protein, like an amino acid. I'm just gonna put prot. And then it could also become a nucleotide. I'm just gonna put DNA because it's shorter. Okay. And carbohydrates and lipids, those are both just cho. So they can a plant can directly take glucose and then turn it into this. Wish I had like a different color. Can take glucose and turn it directly into this and this. However, when it comes to phospholipids, which is literally in the name, it needs it needs 2 additional nutrients, which are phosphorus and then also nitrogen, which the plant both gets from. What? Why? What?
You want this shagreen leather container? Oh, you like it or no? Sure.
Okay, hi guys, little hole here. But okay, so it absorbs those nutrients from the soil, and then funny enough, it's the same things that are used for DNA. So both of these are chompin. And then for proteins, which I will use another color, it actually needs sulfur to make proteins. So that's it. That's basically what that is. I guess I'll finish this off because I can. Glucose. This is hard to remember, so I literally just put it on a cheat sheet, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's literally what that is. And we can fact check that using this. Yeah, chompin, chompin. Perfect. Okay. I just itched my booty hole. Just kidding. Okay, list that. I guess we kind of just did that. So yeah. Oh, I didn't say what they're used for. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me get back. Okay, so carbs, which are starches. This is gonna take a while. Starches and fibers. Fibers. That's what carbohydrates are. They're starches and fibers. And for plants, they actually use fibers. They use starches and fibers to. They're the plant structure. That's literally what they are. Like cell walls, I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's literally what carbs are. They're the plant structure. But for us humans and animals, I guess, that's not the case. Our proteins are what our structure is, like muscles, and carbs are what we use to fuel our bodies. So when we eat plants, we're eating not like potatoes, which are very heavy in starches. Or when we eat a potato, we are getting those starches and we're using those to fuel our bodies. So, yeah, rather than it being our structure, for us it's our fueling source. But for plants, it's the structure. And then for what's it called? What's the next one? Oh, lipids. Lipids are literally, I'm pretty sure, just to fuel. They're just for fueling. They're just fuel. That's literally all lipids are. Just fuel. Okay, and then we have phospholipids. I don't think those are actually really important for how we have to know like what their purpose is, but for proteins, kind of like what I was saying earlier. Sorry, this is going to take a while. For us, proteins are literally our structure. Again, our muscles. But for plants, I'm pretty sure proteins are used for like, it's so weird. Oh, they're used for machinery, like enzymes. Like, I might be wrong. I think they're used for like mitochondria. That's what proteins are used for plants. So they don't need as many proteins as us. We need much more protein because it's literally our fucking structure. It's our structure. But for plants, it's like just their machinery and stuff like that. Okay, and then finally we have DNA, like nucleotides. I kind of just said it. Nucleotides is like genetic material. DNA. That's literally all nucleotides are. So very, very cool. Very cool. Explain the relationship between monomers and polymers. Sorry, I almost started thinking of Rivian. I started thinking like a polytheist or whatever. Just believe one god. But explain the relationship between monomers and polymers. Okay, so a monomer, I'm pretty sure is like one thing. Like imagine you have like that. That's a monomer. But a polymer, which poly means many, you start to build chains. And I'm pretty sure that's what like a starch is. It's like a chain. So imagine like the glucose, the C6H12O6, those are those atoms? Those are what those are, I'm pretty sure. No, those elements. Those elements are being broken apart and they're being formed to form kind of like no. They're being formed to they're they're broken apart and they form a monomer. They form like one fiber or something. But a polymer is fibers stacked on top of each other. So think of like cryolomarkers and how you can like put them together, connect them. That's like a polymer. Like one cryolomarker, I'm pretty sure. Don't again, this might be wrong. One marker is just one fiber, but a polymer is like a whole like chain of those markers. I hope that's good enough. Okay, and then compare monomer forms. Well, I just did that, but proteins, um, yeah, and I guess kind of just adding on to this, how way you can see it is maybe like polymers are like what the structure, like beginning to like doing the structure, like that's what how structures are formed, like it's just polymers of fibers, and like for us, our structure is just polymers or proteins. Again, don't take my word for it, but like that's like how my brain is kind of thinking about this, which may be wrong. Do you want me to look it up? I'll look it up. Are polymers, um, are polymers of, for example, protein, what form human bodies structure? Yay! Wow, isn't that so cool? Wow, that's amazing. That is incredible. Okay, I'm glad that I was able to make that connection. So I hope that you kind of get that. The cryolla markers. I hope you understand that. Okay. And explain the many things glucose in a plant can be used for. So as I was saying on before, glucose is a simple sugar and it's the first thing that a plant burns because it's the most simple form of like a food, I guess. It's a sugar. It's one sugar. It's not a complicated macromolecule, it's just a simple sugar. So that's one of the things glucose can be used for. But again, glucose is what is like the main thing that forms all these macromolecules, and of course it needs those additional nutrients. But I guess in a nutshell, glucose turns into like proteins and nucleotides and lipids and carbohydrates, all that. Which I guess in a plant, those are what like are the structure. Those are what make up the plant, and even they make up us too, just in a different way. But like a glucose is literally like what makes us. And plants, of course. Don't discriminate against plants. They're cool. They're pretty cool. List the additional atoms plants need to convert glucose into amino acids and nucleotides, and how often were they? Okay, so I kind of already said this. If you're being real, again, John's chopping, right? Like I'd put that in my cheat sheet. It's in my cheat sheet. But to form like, I guess the first one is phospholipids. You need phosphor and you need nitrogen, which the plant these plants absorb all these nutrients from the soil. For what's it called? Protein. I think I forgot to put this in my diagram, but it needs not just sulfur, it also needs nitrogen. So again, it absorbs it from the soil, and the same goes for whatever the fuck it's called. Amino acid. No, nucleotides. And a thing about this is the soil can only have so much nutrients again, right? So like especially in like places that are like that do agriculture, places that like agriculture fields, I guess, that plant foods, like farms, when they plant crops and they just, they plant it and they harvest it, and they plant it and they harvest it, they're depleting the soil of all that nutrients. It's kind of like it's an unrenewable resource, or like it's being used up more than it can be replaced. So of course there are plenty of ways that those nutrients can get back into the soil. However, if you're just, but burning it up too quick, then it's not going to be able to replace it in time, and it's going to lead to soil that is not rich and cannot properly cannot properly, I guess, nurture, that's not the right word, but like cannot properly, I guess, take care of a plant. So yep. Analyze a blank diagram of biosynthesis. Okay, so biosynthesis is like you know what it's probably doing? It's there's like the one diagram. Hold on. Like plant, oh no, like soil, nutrients. How about just nitrogen diagram? Especially again, like especially nitrogen is important because it makes up all like it's required for all the other macromolecules that need like additional resources. Like phosphorus and sulfur are only needed for some, but nitrogen is needed for all of those. So it's, you know, it's pretty big. But like something like this is what I'm thinking of. Oh, this one has a cow. Yeah. Okay, it couldn't be any more blurrier. It's getting on my nerves a little bit. Hold up. Give me a second. I guess like this. So it's like the nitrates, and then they turn, it's nitrification, and then turn nitrates into nitrites, and then to what? Oh no, where they go? They turn nitrites into nitrates, and nitrates. I'm guessing is yeah. This is what they use. I'm pretty sure. That's the kind of nitrogen that they use. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. But like they're not just directly using atmospheric nitrogen. It has to go through some kind of process to become absorbable to a plant. So again, that's part of why like hold on. It's not just like oh my fucking god. Okay. It's not just like immediate. Like it can't just be replenished immediately. Okay. And then we're going up here to modeling cellular respiration. So okay. So like again, this is my like. Like, you know, like the greater signs, and people are like, oh, think of them like alligators, but also don't. Like, think of like ATP as a battery, but also don't. It's like ADP is a low charge battery, and ATP is a full charge battery. And what cellular respiration does, what the point of the process is to recharge ATP. And it's essential because ATP is what we use to move around. This is me burning my ATP. As I'm speaking, I'm burning ATP. As I'm breathing, I'm burning ATP. So it's how we live, quite literally. It's how we're able to breathe and how our heart is able to beat. ATP. Yeah. Analyze a model of the AP cycle. So like kind of like what I was saying before. There's actually a good one. I don't think it's on this thing, but it's right here. This is a good one. It uses the glucose, and then wait, I can do this. This is so cool. It uses the glucose. It uses that for, this is aerobic acceleration, and it's converting the glucose, breaking it up back into 6 carbon and 6 waters, and in that process, it's simultaneously converting ADP into ATP. Just like this. And as again, like while I'm moving and doing all this, I'm burning my ATP, which is turning the ATP back into ADP. Like again, think of like the battery. So you have ATP, which is a full charged battery, but then you have ADP, which is a low charged battery. And by like moving and stuff, by moving and stuff, you're turning the ATP into ADP because you're using the battery. It's burning up as I'm moving and shit. So it's turning the full charge battery into a low charge battery. It's like using our phone. Like when we move, it's like us burning our phone battery and it's going back to low. And then we have to use cellular respiration to recharge that ADP back into full battery. So like imagine like a phone, I guess this is another analogy. Imagine like a phone. Charging, when we charge it overnight or something, that's the phone's cellular respiration. But when we're using it and we're like doing whatever on our phones, that's us that's it, like moving and burning as ADP and converting it back into ADP. So I hope that works enough for you. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is a perfect diagram. Oh yes, that's a perfect diagram. I'm so sorry. Yep, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The glucose and the oxygen, and then it's breaking this back up into their previous forms, and then in the process, it's recharging the ADP. Okay, if you don't understand that, put it on your cheat sheet. Okay, analyze a model of. Okay, we just did that. Explain the basis process as which. Okay. Organisms. Okay, so all living things do cellular respiration. It's like something aerobic cellular respiration, at least. It's something that we actually share in common with plants. But again, it's literally how we get the energy to move our bodies and shit. What percent am I at? Okay, I'm fine. And it happens in the mitochondria of everything. It happens in the mitochondria of plants and our mitochondria. Oh, look at me go. Okay, analyze a blank diagram or model of cellular. I mean, I feel like we kind of did that. So, label blank items, reactants, products, or energetic. So again, we kind of already did that. But just remember, like, it's a cycle from photosynthesis. At least this is for plants. Photosynthesis, and it creates the glucose and oxygen, and those are the same things that go into aerobic cellular respiration, and that creates those things again, the carbon in the water. But it also recharges the ADP, which is what molecules regenerated. That's what that's saying. Energetic molecules regenerated. Okay. Evaluate a model. I think we already did that. Okay. We're almost there. Explaining aerobic first, anaerobic side respiration. Okay, so aerobic needs oxygen, anaerobic doesn't need oxygen. And again, we also do. Plants do anaerobic, and so do we. We all do it. So, like, imagine when you're swimming. How about that? When you're I have crap. I have my backwards. When you're swimming, look at me. I'm swimming. You do need oxygen. It's a very aerobic sport. So you breathe. But let's say you're sprinting, so you only have like one breath. That breath when you're diving. So now your body only has that much oxygen to do aerobic salivation, and as soon as it runs out of oxygen, it'll immediately switch to anaerobic. Because especially when you're sprinting, you're burning a lot more ATP than you just by sitting here, like laying down on your bed. You're burning much more ATP by like sprinting as fast as you can. So not only will the oxygen run out sooner, but you'll need more. Well, actually, never mind. The oxygen will run out sooner because you need more energy to support such energy essential activity. I don't know. Okay. So, yes. Okay. Oh, I'm here. I'm so sorry. Yeah, we already did that. Like, literally the only difference is that one, needs, aerobic needs oxygen. Again, if you take Latin, like air, means, like, A-E-R, means air. Aerobic needs air. Anaerobic doesn't need air. So, boom. And I think another big thing. Yes. What? Why? Can I do this in like 10 minutes?
No, I want to
No,
see.
no, because you just send me the video then.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to do science right now. I'm in the middle of it. That's the third time someone's coming to my room while recording this. Okay, so how do the reactants differ? Oh fuck, I need to say for English, it's fine. So how do the reactants and products differ? Okay, so I already did the reactants, but product-wise, aerobic salivation is much more efficient. That's why our body does it more often. That's why our body, when it can, it will do aerobic because it generates so much more ATP. It's, if you don't know, you might actually have to remember, it's aerobic is 30, anaerobic is 2. So our body will, when it can, use aerobic because it's so much more efficient and it produces so much more energy. But when it runs out of oxygen to use, it will immediately switch to using anaerobic, which produces less. It still works, but it produces a lot less ATP, which also means that it will need to do more of it. So it actually also leads to cramps. So when you're cramping, not all cramps, I guess, because not menstrual cramps, of course, but at least when you're exercising, like even running, which is weird, but eventually you won't be able to take in enough oxygen to support your whatever you're doing while you're running, so your body will do anaerobic. Despite literally like being surrounded by oxygen, you won't be able to take in enough oxygen to support the activity you're trying to do because it just needs so much more, especially when you're just exerting even more, so much energy. So yeah, how do their efficiencies differ? I already did that. How do their speeds differ? Oh, okay. So aerobic respiration, I think it's a slow process, I guess. According to Mr. G'day on one of the practice tests, it's a slow process, but it completely breaks down the glucose. However, anaerobic doesn't completely break it down. That's why it just generates so much less. Because is anaerobic... Yes, okay. And I guess anaerobic is also a much faster process, which also makes sense because while you're, again, going back to the running thing, you're running, and eventually your body just needs so much ATP that it starts depending on anaerobic because A, you're not taking enough oxygen, but B, it's a quicker process and it's able to, despite generating much less and being much less efficient, it doesn't completely break down the glucose. It's much faster. So yeah. Taking place in a given, look at us go. But just remember the sprinting, that's important. Okay, predict whether it would occur in a given, I guess we kind of already did that too. Good job. Okay, model the rules of photosynthesis in aerobic. And so, okay, carbon cycling. Okay, explain the relationship between the... So we kind of already did this. The reactants to photosynthesis create the reactants to cellular respiration, which create the reactants to photosynthesis. Again, like going back to this diagram right here, it's like this. It's like this little loop. So just remember, it's like and then it goes It's kind of like this. It's kind of like this. I would not be surprised if it uses this, if it literally does this and uses these reactants for photosynthesis. I'm not sure. What am I saying? It absolutely does. I'm pretty sure it does. Because especially in the nighttime, when plants don't have access to sunlight, they won't be able to do photosynthesis because again they need sunlight to actually do that process. So they'll depend on the things that they got, the outputs from aerobic salivation that they stored. They'll depend on those to use and think. Hold on. No, they don't. You know what? I think I was wrong because I was kind of realizing this. They need the sunlight. That's what it is. Like, they need sunlight to even do this process. So even if they have these two, they still need sunlight to do it. But yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that's what that is. Do plants have waste? Oh, you want to know what? Oh, I just realized something. Maybe when they have so much extra stuff and stuff, they don't need to take in carbon because they already have this stuff, and they just need like the sunlight. And this probably only lasts for like barely any time. But maybe there are instances where like the plant can solely depend on the aerobic cellular spin outputs for photosynthesis, rather than like having to actually take them through, like it's taking carbon from the air and taking water from the soil. Like they can use those just for a little bit. Maybe. What the fuck is? Oh, plants don't poo. Ooh. So as it says here, the water is released through transpiration. I don't know where the fuck the carbon goes. You know what? You want to know what? Maybe it uses carbon, or something, something. Maybe going back to what I said earlier. Sorry, that's my science a long time earlier. It doesn't just what percent am I at? It doesn't just use the oxygen from photosynthesis to power aerobic acceleration. Some of it goes up into the atmosphere as waste. So that might also be part of it. Yeah. Okay, analyze models of carbon cycle. Okay, so carbon cycle is like the biosphere and the biosphere, the geosphere, the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere. The thing is, like, at least for Mr. G'day, I asked him, and he said that you probably don't need to write it down because there's going to be a diagram on the test. So, like, you don't have to just, like, be like, you don't have to, like, think, like, oh, there's not going to be any diagrams, because there's going to be diagrams. So, I mean, I have, like, an image in my head. Like, I can imagine everything. Like, I'm imagining literally this. This is what I'm imagining. And remember as much as you can. I actually wrote down like carbonate rocks and like I think you do have to remember like biosphere is like all the macromolecules, atmosphere is CO2, which is probably the easiest one to remember. Hydrosphere is bicarbonate, and the geosphere is carbonate rocks. So you do probably have to remember that. Oh, and it's fossil fuels, and you will probably also you should at least know like combustion is geosphere to atmosphere, photosynthesis is atmosphere to biosphere, but cellular respiration is the opposite. It's biosphere to atmosphere. I guess this is dissolve, just dissolve. Atmosphere to this, and then this is like erosion. That's what that is. Okay. But there will be diagrams. Yes. Okay. So, and like I'd be surprised if you have to actually remember like dissolve, because it would probably say like what does the process of dissolve do, or like something like that. Like you probably won't have to remember the exact name, but maybe you will. So it's always good to have it in your mind. Analyze models. We did that. Spears. Yes. Okay. Carbon cycling. Okay. Compare amounts of carbon in spheres. Okay. So this is something I would absolutely put on your fucking cheat sheet. But the hydrosphere has the most carbon. It has no, what am I saying? I think it's the geosphere. The geosphere has the most carbon. Shit. I swear I think it's the geosphere. It has like 38,000, and then it's the hydrosphere. It's carbon, isn't it? Hydro. No, it's geo. Yes, it's okay. It's geo. It has significantly. Okay. I think the difference is like it's like literally like 38 something gigatons, or like a large amount. It starts with the 38, and then the hydrosphere is like 10. I don't actually remember the hydrosphere, but it's something like that. And then it goes geosphere, hydrosphere, and then it goes biosphere, which I think is like 900, and then atmosphere, which is like 500. I put that on my cheat sheet, so I don't actually have to remember that, but it's you should absolutely, because that's something that's really hard to remember. And then using quantitative model. Okay, calculate the. Okay, so that's literally just like the fucking arrows. What it's taking out, what's coming out. Let's say you're focusing on atmosphere. Arrows going down out of the atmosphere, it's losing that much. Arrows going into the atmosphere, it's gaining that much. So by adding those two values together, and again, if it's going out, that'll be a negative value. Adding those values together, you'll be able to find either the positive or negative, like either it's gaining or losing that much, like how much carbon. Okay, and like predicting, you're gonna want to take two values. So it probably on test, Mr. Gray tends to like literally give you the value, so it's a lot harder to get wrong. But like you'll have two values. You have two x values and two y values. You want to find the difference of both, and remember y change in y over change in x. So you're gonna do y over x, and then you'll find the slope like that. And just remember like, for the two values you'll get, it'll be like x and y, and then it'll be like x and y. Make sure that like they're in the same order that you're minusing the x and y. If you didn't get that, then whatever. just write, if you wrote down the equation, you'll be fine. And then that'll get you the slope. If it's a negative slope, if it's going down, put a negative sign. If it's going up, then it's positive, you don't have to do anything. But then you're going to want to times that by the amount of years that you're trying to project in the future. And then, oh, I'm cracking my back. And then you'll add that to like your latest value that you're using in your data, if that makes sense. So you have like your 1950 in your 2020, you're going to want to use whatever the carbon value of 2020 was, because this is like a range that your data is in. If you use like the latest thing on your whole entire graph, it might not be the same year as 2020, and that could end up getting the question wrong. So remember that. And then predicament we had in front of it was removed or changed. If a part in the carbon cycle. Okay, so I guess for that one, if a part in the carbon cycle, buddy. I guess what that's asking, if a part in the carbon cycle were removed or changed. I guess it's asking like energy efficient things. I guess like I don't understand that one very much. If a part in the carbon cycle was removed or changed. What are you trying to say there? Like this? Like if trees were taken out, well, there wouldn't be any cellular respiration, but there also, no, that's a lie, there wouldn't be any photosynthesis if all like the plants were taken out, so then there would only be cellular respiration, which would mean that the atmospheric carbon is only increasing and it's not going to like get some out of it through photosynthesis. And I guess planting more trees would mean that you'd have more photosynthesis, but you'd also have more cellular respiration. Okay, that sums up today's video. Thank you all for watching. This has been a pleasure teaching you all about this amazing stuff. So thank you all for watching, and good night.